Hey guys, it's Peggy, Dean of the Pigeon Letters, and today I'm bringing you a video to show you how to put your lettering onto vinyl using the Cricut machine. So this is some vinyl that I received. This is it's like a holographic vinyl. It's gorgeous. All these colors are amazing, and then some gold. This is their like white opal. Anyway, it's stunning. This is from Teckwrap Craft. And they provided this vinyl for me to try and see if I liked it, and it turns out that I totally love it. So this is what I've decided to use to show you. It's a lot thicker than a lot of vinyl, and I will link below to where you can purchase some of this. And otherwise, the materials that you will need are the Cricut machine, and you can either digitize your lettering, which I have a separate tutorial on how to do, so check that out on my channel. Or you can use the iPad, which is what I'm going to be using to show you. I'm going to letter on the iPad and then push it to my computer and then get it printed, or I guess not printed, but cut out onto the vinyl. And then I'm going to apply it to this jar of stars. These are little, I guess origami little stars that I used to have an office job, and I sat there and I just folded so many stars. And so I am going to have a cool vinyl piece on here that will also get lost in the colorful stars, but I thought that was the perfect project. So that is what we are going to do. I'm not going to focus too much on the iPad itself, but I will just briefly mention what I'm using. This is the iPad Pro, the 12.9. This is the Apple Pencil, and I'm using the Procreate app. So I am just going to open this up and letter it. I have a lot of tutorials on Procreate along with full classes. You can find all that information on my website if you have interest in that. But for now, I am just going to get my lettering ready. Okay, and once I have that ready, I am just going to get it over to my computer. I'm sharing it as just a JPEG and then just airdropping it to myself. So now that I have this over to my computer, I'm going to open up Cricut Design Space so that I can load this onto my mat for cutting. So I'm just going to go into New Project, and then I'm going to click Upload. Find my image, which is, I'm just going to drag it from here. Okay, so I'm going to click complex. I just always choose complex, even though it's probably fine with the high contrast here, but I'm still going to do it that way. And then I'm going to say continue. Now I'm just going to use this tool. It's already on the select and erase because I want to get rid of all the white. You can also, if you have a PNG saved with a transparent background, you wouldn't have to do any of this, but any of that color that's isolated, you can get rid of it just by clicking on it. So that looks good, so I'm going to say continue. Now I don't want to do a print and then cut, I just want to do it as a cut image. So, and then I'm going to say, oh my stars, stars, oh my stars, lettering, just some tags, and then save it. And now I'm going to select that image and insert it onto my mat and get it the size I want. I want this to be pretty small. The area that I'm working with is probably going to be like a 2 by 3-ish, so I'm going to get this real small. Right about there. And keep in mind too, with vinyl like this, like there's going to be some areas here that are going to be a bit of a pain to get out. I think I might actually make this a little bit larger, 3-ish inches. But it's going to be a pain to kind of pick those out, especially in these small areas. But that's something I know going in, so I am just going to accept that there's going to be a challenge. And then I'm going to say make it. Now I'm just going to drag this over to make sure that it doesn't hit any of the bleed lines. My material size is 12 by 12, so now I'm going to hit continue. And then because this is a thicker holographic paper, they actually have one of those. I put in vinyl and then holographic vinyl, and this actually works perfectly. It cuts perfectly just the way that the settings are as is. So I'm going to say done. And this, for what I'm doing, this is a really large piece of vinyl, so I would use it all if I wanted to, you know, lay something out to where I'm going to use it, but I'm actually going to cut it to size. I'm not going to cut it exactly the size. I'm going to go over what I know it's going to be, so probably here and then here, and then that way it gives me a little bit of forgiveness. You could do this either way. I mean, you could cut it beforehand or after, but I'm just doing it beforehand. This is the board for the thinner paper that has my dog hair on it, of course. You want to make sure this is lined up. If it's not print and cut, you don't have to worry about it being super perfect, but do make sure it lines up pretty well because you are working with the smaller paper if you cut it that way. I don't know if you guys know exactly how to use this or not, so I'm just going to walk you through real fast. There's little notches, see where the top is here, where it's touching the corner, top corner, and then right here. You want to make sure that your mat slides underneath both of those, and then it sits snug. The next part on the computer screen will show you that it is ready to load, and then all you have to do is press this arrow button, and what that's going to do is pull the paper in. And then it's going to give you this blinking C, which means it's ready to cut. That's all you have to do. Press that and then it will cut. It is done. Once it's done, it's going to have this arrow blinking at you again. You're going to press that and it releases the paper. Alright, so now you will be able to see where that cut, and you'll see exactly where all of my, let me take this off. Typically, if you're using something that isn't, you know, you're not going to cut it out or you don't want your paper to warp, it's best to turn this over and then lift this up and then just kind of work it off so that it remains flat, so you're bending your board and not your paper. This stuff I usually just pull off, but just an FYI, little tip. But yeah, you can see how it says "Oh My Stars" in there, which is awesome. And then I'm going to first pick off all of the negative space that I don't want to be on here. And then I will tell you right now that there are tools for this that are meant for this, and I am not using them because I don't do this enough to where I've purchased any yet. So I just use a handy pair of tweezers. These are my craft tweezers. So I'm just going to work these out, all of these little holes real fast. And it will help to bend the paper for a little lift to pick that up easier. I guess it's sticker, not paper, but you know what I mean. Okay, so I think that that's all of them. So now I'm going to remove the back side, like the overall, so that I'm only leaving my letters. And a lot of times, because this wants to connect and these lines are pretty thin, I will actually help them stay there with a little nudge as I pull the rest of it, so you can see that that is left behind. Okay. All right, so that is what is left. So how do we get this part onto our object? All I need to do is use some transfer paper. Some vinyl will come with transfer paper while others may not. Teckwrap did come with transfer paper, which is super helpful. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to cut it so that it will lay over exactly how much space I have. And then I'm going to separate this and take off that top layer, and then I'm going to place it over my vinyl. And to make this nice and smooth, I typically press the center and then smooth out the sides. And then here's another part where they make tools for this, but you want to use a scraper to get the vinyl to adhere really well to the transfer paper. I use anything that has a hard surface because that works too. So the back of these tweezers, this is seriously like my craft tweezers. I tell you, they're the best. But yeah, they have like vinyl scrapers, or those food scrapers work too. But I'm just going to outline this so that all of this will stick to the transfer paper, so that when I pull it off, it is all connected and going to be easy to take. You get it. All right, so I feel like that's pretty good. You just want to be really careful as you lift it off to make sure that that's all sticking. Okay, so see how that's all coming off onto the transfer paper. So go slow so you make sure everything's there. Okay, so that's all here now. And now I'm going to place it on my surface. So you want to make sure that your surface is clean and dry when you set it on. And remember that trick that I told you about, how you can apply. So different ways to do this. You can apply from the center and then press down and smooth out, or you can press from a corner and smooth all the way down. You just want to make sure that you are doing this so it is not going to bubble up. So this is especially important if it's not lettering, if it's like a shape or something, because you really want to make sure that's nice and smooth and even. My whole point here is that my lettering is going to get lost with my stars, which I think is fun. Okay, so this turned out to be the perfect size. So I'm going in the center and smoothing out. Okay, so exactly what I just did, it's hard to see, but there we go. Exactly what I just did with my, we're going to call this my scraper, the back of my tweezers, that we did to get it attached to the transfer paper is what we're going to do to get it really nice and secure onto my surface, which is glass. So it bonds well so that when I lift up my transfer paper, my vinyl is stuck to the surface that I want it to be on. Okay, so once that is set, I'm going to slowly, even slower than I did before, peel this off, because you want to make sure that none of that vinyl is touching, or excuse me, lifting up with the transfer paper. And it looks like we are good. Oh, except for that piece. So see how that just lifted up on my transfer paper? So what I'm going to do in this case is just lay that one part back down and go over it again and continue to lift. And now it looks like we're good. So that's why you want to go slow. And then once you're done with that part, that's it.